Greetings, petrolheads. F1 Brake Check is back for our preview of the Japanese Grand Prix. With the speed and precision of a ninja on adderall, Corey and I are here to get you ready for this weekend's action. We'll talk news and rumors, make our predictions. Corey will once again scramble my melon with his Stump the Pundit trivia question. So grab a cup of sake, a bowl of ramen, and get ready for another episode of F1 Brake Check.
Welcome. You are listening to F1 Brake Check, the epic podcast for all things Formula One, where we discuss technology, history, news, and perspective. With your hosts, Scott Vick and Corey Broom.
So welcome back to F1 Brake Check. My name is Scott Vick, and with me, as always, is my partner in crime, my brother in arms, Corey Broom. Corey, how are you doing this week, sir?
Real good. It's been a busy week.
Yes,
9 to 5 has been brutal. Looking forward to this weekend. I think it's on Tuesday. We actually have a really good view of the eclipse.
Yes.
I've been hearing...
It's actually Monday.
Is it Monday? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's Monday the 8th.
I keep hearing that there's thousands of people coming to Texas just for that, and to Oklahoma as well to view it.
Mm-hmm.
Stay indoors. How about you?
I'm like you. It's been a crazy busy week. It's been a super interesting week leading up to the Japanese Grand Prix. So I can't wait for them to take and start practice. Yeah. This one's going to be a storming race, I think.
Yeah, I can't wait.
All right, so let's jump into the news. So first things first, we've got to talk about, because this is one of the news items that I am super pumped about. I know you are as well when I sent it to you yesterday.
Yeah.
So yesterday, ESPN broke a story about the possible return of Sebastian Vettel to Formula One. He has actually been quoted as saying he might be interested in coming back. And this is completely upended the driver market. So first of all, what are your thoughts about Vettel coming back?
Oh, there's not enough good words in the English language to describe my feelings right now. I'm super happy that he's at least considering it, because on all the other podcasts that we've talked about, I know that I've been saying that, oh, there's no way he's coming back. He left for right reasons. He's not going to come back. He left for his family, all this stuff. And then, see that article that he's actually considering maybe a comeback. He's even talking to Toto about maybe backfilling for Hamilton. Good grief, how awesome would that be to see him be able to race again?
To be honest with you, I think that Mercedes would be really keen to have another German driver back in the cockpit of their cars, especially right now with their somewhat diminished performance. I think that they would definitely be keen to have another German driver, especially a four-time world champion back in there. I think he's starting to get the bug back, because was it earlier this week or late last week, he tested the current Porsche hypercar, and it's been confirmed that he is going to be running the 24 hours of Le Mans this year for Porsche. So I think he's really starting to get the bug back. And like you said, if the right car and the right opportunities, because he's not just going to come back to run in the middle or the back of the pack. It's going to be super exciting to see how this all plays out, because this adds a new wrinkle, and that's going to make the driver market over the next few months even more exciting than what it already was.
Yes.
All right. So did you see Max's comments about the situation over at Williams?
I did not see it. No.
Max actually made the comment that if he were Logan Sargent and they told him that he was going to have to give up his car to his teammate, that he would have stuffed the car into the wall intentionally just so that neither one of the cars could have raced, which just kind of goes to show you just how balls out competitor that Max really is.
Yeah. It's like what we've said in the past, as far as the true champions out there, that they have a bit of not the nicest person in the world, but they have that little chip on them. I would expect absolutely nothing less from Max.
Yes. And the other thing too, though, that I loved is just his bluntness about it, that.
That's the Dutch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no question that there's no way I'm giving up my car. And if they told me I had to, I would have stuck it in the wall. That's so. Speaking of Max, there was also Max leading in the press sessions leading up to this weekend's Grand Prix. He was asked about the possibility of going to Mercedes, which also sparked another comment from Alonso, which we'll get to in just a second. But Max actually made the comment about whether he doesn't even know if he even wants to drive in 2025. Might be a possibility of him sitting out. And when news of that got out, Alonso very quickly commented about wanting the second Red Bull seat. Your thoughts on that?
I think once the end of 2024 hits, that Max is going to realize that his blood is in F1. I don't see him leaving for a sabbatical or leaving for any time. There's too much of a competitor in him. I don't see him ever leaving.
Yeah, I don't see it either. I just thought it was very weird. I guess I can't even think of a better term for it, but I
Yeah,
just
it's
thought
an
it was
odd
very
thing to say.
odd
Yeah.
about for him to say something like that, that he was even contemplating that. Okay, in other news about Aston Martin, apparently Lawrence Stroll has backed up the money dump truck up to Adrian Newey's driveway and has offered him a proverbial boatload of cash to come work at Aston Martin. Your thoughts?
Everybody wants Newey.
Yes.
Nobody's making a secret about that, and everybody's making a play now that he's actually opened himself up. Everybody thought that there's no way they would pry Newey away from Max and from Horner, but now that with everything that's going on at Red Bull, Newey's looking around. More power to him. Ferrari's taking a very hard look at him now that Aston Martin's looking at him. So I don't know if he'll actually be at Red Bull next year. My money would be on Ferrari at this point because everything that they have going for that team right now, they have Lewis, they have other engineers from Red Bull at Ferrari starting next year. I would say that he would go there. Obviously, a billionaire can give you quite a bit of money. So I would see him wearing red before racing green next year.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you in that I do think that we would see Newey at Ferrari before we would see him at Aston Martin. But I guarantee you that both of them have very compelling, because I can't think of a better way to put it, side quests that they would give to Newey in addition to his duties in Formula One.
Nice.
Because Newey has done some work with Aston Martin on road cars and track specific cars that Aston Martin has built based upon aerodynamic notes from Adrian Newey. So it's really, would Newey want to also take and work on some of these hypercar projects for Aston Martin? Or would he be interested in not just doing the aerodynamics for the Ferrari F1 team, but maybe also he can work on the Ferrari hypercar that's being run in the Le Mans series? The biggest differentiator I see between the side projects that Newey would be allowed to work on in addition to his Formula One duties, but it's also the resources that are available to him because of the Horner situation and the helmet situations. We're starting to see some cracks in the armor at Red Bull. So speaking of Red Bull and their junior team, last week we talked about Danny Rick. If his performance didn't turn around fairly quickly, we were commenting about how we didn't know that if he would even make it to Silverstone, or if they might pull him at Silverstone, much like they did DeVries last year. Well, apparently he's not even got that long of a leash. Apparently, according to some rumors, is that he has been told that he's basically got 2 races to turn it around or he's gone. They can't hold back Lawson much longer. I have a sneaking suspicion that there's a lot of truth to this rumor. He's going to have to go really, really well this weekend at Suzuka, and he's going to have to go really, really well in 2 weeks after that.
You saw his placement last year. He had a couple outliers where he did really, really well, and you thought, well, this is the Danny that we all know, and then he slid back to the Danny that was in Renault, that was in McLaren, and now in RB. This is part and parcel to who he is now, not who he was. Truth be told, he needs to do really well the rest of the year. It's not just these 2 races. These 2 races gives him more time. That's all. If he doesn't do well throughout the year, he's still gone. They need a leader in RB right now. That's not Dan.
No, as we talked about last week and several other times this season, Yuki has really taken on that role. First couple seasons, as we saw, he was just here to have fun. Yeah. And now all of a sudden he has really turned it on, and he is starting to really relish that role as the team leader. So let's talk about Carlos Sainz and his options for 2025. So we already talked after his amazing win last week at Australia, 13 days out from emergency appendectomy. Sainz is consistently right there. And so I think that Sainz has a lot of options available to him. Even though Wolf won't come right out and say it, providing Vettel decides not to come back,
Right.
I think Sainz is definitely the front runner to partner with George next season. Your thoughts?
I definitely think he's underrated. You give him the car and you don't kill him in strategy and things like that, he will win races, or he'll at least get podiums. He's a phenomenal driver and always has been. Selfishly, I'm hoping it's not Mercedes because I want Vettel back. So Sainz, take anything else. Just don't take Mercedes. I want Vettel back. The great thing about him is, and same thing with Vettel, is not only is he a driver, but he's going to help engineering as well. So he's going to help talk about what needs to be improved on the car. But if not, if Vettel doesn't come back, I would love to see him in Mercedes. Him and Russell together, I think that would make a great team.
Yes, I do too. I think that would make an outstanding team.
So on to Susie Wolf, her lawsuit, which I love, by the way. Hats off to you, ma'am.
Yes, absolutely. So this week we got news that Susie, or it was either this week or last week, that Susie Wolf is suing the FIA over their trumped up charges of improper information sharing, or however they want to phrase it, that came out during the off season that was quickly dismissed because it became very obvious very quickly that these charges were completely trumped up. And she basically said, okay, if you're going to put two can play at this game. So she has decided to sue the FIA. And all I can say at this point is good on her.
And this wasn't the case, but even if they had some type of proof, some type of evidence, you don't go to the public with that. You keep it in until you have to release it. What they did was really defamation. What they did to her, it was just unbelievable what they tried to do. And most of the time I'm against lawsuits. In this case, I really feel strongly that she's definitely doing the right thing.
The FIA has a long and checkered history of pulling crap like this. But one of the nice things is that now in this day and age, it's much, much easier for people who have been on the targeted end of the FIA's ire can now have recourse. And the fact that she is doing this and she is exercising her ability to have that recourse, I think is super important, not just for keeping the FIA honest, but making sure that people in the future who also might come under the unjust scrutiny of the FIA, that they have that recourse available to them.
100% right.
The last thing on our news item today is we have to take and talk about Norris's unwanted record and his response to the hecklers in Melbourne. This last weekend, with Norris's third place finish, he broke a record that I am sure that he wants to get away from as soon as he possibly can, because he now has the distinction of having 14 podiums, which puts him ahead of Nick Heidfeld as the most podium appearances without a win. And I'm sure that Lando really wants to get rid of that record, or at least stop that record from growing any further as fast as he possibly can. But one of the things that popped up on social media this week, though, is there were a group of fans as Lando was walking through the paddock after the race on Sunday. There was some fans that were heckling him about achieving this record. And his response, I thought, some people thought that it was very unprofessional, but I guess you could technically say it was unprofessional. And for those of you who have not seen the social media post, Lando gave the fans the universal sign for "we're number one." He basically flipped them the bird, which I thought, first of all, yes, it was unprofessional, but at the same time, it made him human. And it's one more reason why I just absolutely love Lando.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I don't have any problem with it. Yeah, he's a professional and he needs to keep his wits about him and everything like that. But I temper that with, if you're a fan, then you need to also behave yourself as well. These people are human beings. They're not angels by any stretch. So we can't treat them that way either. So if you're out there heckling them, then by all means, they should have the right to respond back in kind and be able to do
Exactly.
what they need to. Maybe the next time some fans won't be so belligerent.
And I agree. All right, then. So we're going to move on. So now it is time for Stump the Pundit. So where Corey is going to come up with a trivia question to try to noodle my brain into the proverbial mush that it already is. So Corey, what do you have for me this week?
Okay, I have a few different ones. What was Schumacher's last podium? I'll take the year or the race.
Schumacher's last podium. I want to say his last podium was 2009.
2012, actually.
Really?
Yeah, 2012.
Wow. Okay.
In 1950, the first race of F1, where was it held?
Oh, first race of F1 was held at Silverstone.
Yep, got that one. In 2023, who won Monza?
Who won Monza in 2023? That would have been Max Verstappen.
Yes, yeah. That's why I was like, should I ask that? Okay, out of these drivers, who's never driven for McLaren? Alonso, Perez, Alexander Wirtz, or Barrichello?
It would be Barrichello.
Yep, that's it.
Yep.
Pretty good. All right, that's all
Okay,
I have
cool.
for today.
Let's do our preview of this weekend's Grand Prix in Japan from the land of the rising sun, from the beautiful Suzuka circuit. Corey, I'm going to ask you 4 questions. Who do you think is going to go well this weekend? Who do you think's not going to go so well? Who's going to be your surprise? And tell me who you think is going to be on the podium.
Okay, so who I think Red Bull's going to come back with a firestorm behind them. There's no doubt about it. They'll look at last weekend and not be very happy. So they'll be up there. I won't go to podium yet, but they'll definitely be up there. Ferrari, I really predict, is going to be on their heels, or they're going to be leading this race. So those two teams are going to be the front runners. I think McLaren will be a very close third after those two teams. And Mercedes, their woes are going to continue this race as well. Who will not do well? Alpine, Sauber. I hate to pick on you guys, but you make it easy for me. I think RB will do okay. I think, who will surprise us even more than he's surprised us recently is Yuki. It's his home race. I think he has a lot to prove still. And I think that he's going to surprise us as far as points goes. So I think he's going to do really, really well. Danny Rick, I think, is going to be in the same boat. I don't see, even with the threat of F1, leaving F1 again, I just don't see him improving. So I still think where he is. But my surprise is going to be Yuki. That's where my money is right now. As far as podium, I definitely think that Max will be on podium, and Ferrari, and hopefully a Norris up there too. Add to his tally. Your prediction.
Okay, so I agree with you that I think Red Bull will put their mechanical woes from last race. They're going to definitely put that behind them, and they will be back with a vengeance. So I expect Max to go very, very well this weekend because he's going to have something to prove. I agree with you also that Ferrari is going to go very, very well. I see it because this is going to be another one of those tracks, very fast tracks that is going to really suit the Ferrari. The last couple of years, Ferrari's been really good. They were really good in qualifying, but in race trim, they paled in comparison to Red Bull. But as we've already seen in the first 3 races of this year, that their consistency and their pace in racing trim is getting really, really close to Red Bull. And I have a sneaking suspicion that they're going to make another jump in performance this weekend. And I think that it's going to be a straight up dogfight this week between all 4 drivers from Ferrari and Red Bull. I'm totally like agree. You, I think this is another track that McLaren should go very well at. And this is also a track, though, that I think Aston Martin's going to do quite well at.
Yeah.
So I think those are the guys who are going to do well. I think you're spot on. Sauber and Alpine are not going to have great weekends. I also have a sneaking suspicion that Logan Sargent's not going to have a great weekend because they have already said that he's going to be racing Albon's repaired car. And I just, in the quick turnaround, it makes you very suspect on how well were the repairs done. And I have a sneaking suspicion that that's going to be in the back of Logan's mind. So I have a sneaking suspicion that we're going to see a pretty disastrous weekend for Logan, which is very, very unfortunate.
Yeah.
Who I think is going to surprise this weekend is I think that Lance Stroll is going to continue his charge on the field. This is going to be another really good weekend for Lance. It's going to be another great weekend for him, and he's going to be challenging Alonso during qualifying. For the podium, I'm going to change it up a little bit. I see Leclerc winning this weekend in a straight up fight with Max and getting the better of Max. This is my prediction. I've got nothing to base this on. This is just my gut feeling, but Ferrari is going to once again get the pit strategy perfect. They're going to work the undercut on Red Bull, and Leclerc will get the win this weekend. So I'm going to say it's going to be Leclerc 1, Verstappen 2, Norris 3rd, and which is going to really piss off Norris because it's going to make it 15 podiums without a win. But I think McLaren is going to make another jump this weekend, and I think it'll be a very solid third for Lando. So there we go. That's my predictions for this weekend.
Nice. I love them.
All right, then. Well, fans, tell us what you think. Do you think we're spot on who's going to do well this weekend, or do you think we're just completely full of crap? So tell us in the comments down below. Or tell us about any other news item that we talked about. Give us your hot take on it and tell us, hey, you guys are on point, or you guys are complete idiots. Let us know in the comments. All right, so you ready to bring this sucker home?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, then. So, fellow petrol enthusiasts, it's time to put the cover on this episode of F1 Brake Check. Tune in next week when we talk about the history of Suzuka. We will break down the Japanese Grand Prix, as well as the latest news and rumors. We'll have the long-awaited return of our Tech Corner, talking about F1 power units, and Corey will have another great trivia question. So until next time, he's Corey, I'm Scott, we are the pundits of F1 Brake Check. Let's go!
Thank you for listening to F1 Brake Check. If you have enjoyed what you heard, don't miss a single episode by hitting that subscribe button in your favorite podcatcher, or you can watch the video version on YouTube. Help us grow by sharing us with your friends and fellow F1 fans. You can contact us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok and X at F1 Brake Check. Our website is f1brakecheck.com, where you will find links to all our content. We value your passion and your feedback, so please take a moment to review our podcast. Your reviews help us grow and improve, and it means the world to us. Share your thoughts, rate us, and let us know how we can make the show experience even better. F1 Brake Check is a production of Brake Check Media. For your hosts Scott Vick and Corey Broom, until next time, keep yourself inside track limits, and try not to pitch it in the kitty litter.